As we come into the third part, we are beginning to become much more practical in the approach. The approach of the self-image with the information that you have already, and then of course with a routine to put together in order to actually practically work on it. And therefore this first video is about intention. If you have ever been to a yoga class before, you might have experienced that the teacher says at some point in the beginning of class something about intention, or just asks you basically to set an intention, or might even give you an intention to focus on. And it might seem strange, we might not really know what it means and how to do it, and we might not even really know why we should do it. Okay, so this is what I'm going to decipher for you over these few minutes. So, an intention means that you are directing your attention with intention towards a specific thing, something that you choose to focus on. Okay, so it's important to remember that it's a question about choosing to focus on something. Okay, easily imagined. I've decided that I'm going to go outside, so I turn my attention towards finding my shoes. My intention can then be finding shoes, for instance, because my goal is to go outside. So it's something that we decide to bring into our experience, into our thoughts, in order to achieve something that we're planning to do. Okay, it sounds very easy, an everyday thing like that, and that's actually what it is. It's something that you do constantly, often unintentionally, not thinking about it, therefore is. One thing that we do then in a yoga practice is that we set an intention because we're bringing our focus into the practice, into that moment, instead of having the mind going in all kinds of directions. This is also called, or we're doing it while we are conditioning ourselves for our practice. And so conditioning yourself means that you are basically putting yourself into what is to come. You're preparing yourself basically for something, okay? Very easily imagined as well. A child who's very eager to go for a specific outing the next day with school is so ready for it, so already imagining it, setting its intention, because preparing for it in its mind, that it will be ready even an hour early, dressed with the backpack on the back, just waiting for the parents, for instance, to wake up. So we've all done that at some point in our life with different things. We condition ourselves because we're going to a concert, for instance. It's a very different way to prepare oneself compared to, for instance, going to spend time with your family. We prepare ourselves, we set an intention. This means that we are preparing our vibrational frequency in a certain way in order to then make that happen. This means that we have directed our attention with focus towards something, and therefore we're bringing that into our experience. Another way of giving you an example of this one, especially that, can be, and I always take the same example because I've experienced it myself, and I think that it's something that most people experience. Let's say that I have decided to buy a new car. I've decided to buy a red Ford, a red Volvo, whatever brand is most common where you live. And all of a sudden, because I made this decision, I have the feeling that I see red Fords, red Volvos everywhere. And I assure you, it doesn't mean that they've increased overnight in the traffic. It simply means that you are paying attention to it differently. Okay, another way to just look at all of this, we live in a vibrational universe, okay? Everything is energy, and so everything vibrates on its own frequency. That includes you, everything inside of you, and your thoughts. So, when I condition myself with setting an intention for my day, I decide on what that intention is, which means basically, how do I want my day to be? What is the word or maybe the phrase that I put as my intention because I want to set myself onto that vibrational frequency? Like tuning your radio into 404 megahertz, sorry, got a blank there. And then I will get the signals that corresponds to that frequency. That's what I'm doing with intention. I'm emitting a signal on that frequency, and so then I will receive, I will attract in other things that are emitted on that same frequency, like the red car, for instance. So this means that if I every day, for instance, set the intention of feeling joyful, I'm deciding that this is where I want to direct my intention, my attention, and therefore I go for that frequency in order to attract other things that are on that frequency. Whatever we practice becomes stronger. This means that even if maybe the first day I don't really feel the vibe of joy, over time, the more I practice it, the stronger it becomes. Hence, the importance of creating a routine. When I create a routine, I dedicate time and space for this every day, and therefore I keep practicing my vibrational frequency, and I started with setting the intention of the day.